Hi, this interview is just a conversation we are going to have with Jeni, who happened to come and volunteer or visit Umoya Trust Zambia. So Jeni, kindly, can you tell us more about yourself? Who is Jeni?
Jeni is a 52-year-old lady who first came across the Umoya Trust about 4.5 years ago. Basically, I've been looking after my husband, Mark, who has multiple sclerosis, on my own since 2010. And in 2019, I had a major breakdown because I could no longer look after him on my own and his condition, and continue to work in a high-powered financial role, which was continually being something that I no longer wanted to do. So when I prayed for help, the Umoya Trust Connect and Care came to my rescue through a council contract, and through that I met yourself and became aware of what the charity stood for, and I wanted to become more involved.
So you became aware what this trust, the charity is all about. So far, before we come to that about Umoya, how would you define yourself?
Myself, I'm just an ordinary person who likes to give and to other people. I don't like to have too much material things. I see the need in other people, and I like to help people. It's not always been easy to do that because of my position and my own financial situation, but where I can, I help.
Where you can,
even if it's with time.
Okay. Now that you came across Umoya, what really attracted you to Umoya, or how has it been?
It's been a breath of fresh air to me, because it showed me that it is possible to help people without any agendas. Other charities that I've approached to work for, I personally have felt have had agendas. I don't know if that's true, but my personal thought was that they didn't really want to help people in the way that Umoya Trust does. Everything that Umoya Trust stands for me is that they give everything and want to give everything. So everything that's raised goes straight back out. There's no profit. There's no grandeur or anything. It's just basically helping. And that really appealed to me because it's basic, but it's good.
It's basic, but it is good. Now, I understand after being with Umoya, there has been a time probably Umoya or yourself thought of volunteering abroad.
Yeah.
Tell me how that came about.
I wanted to come to Africa for some time, ever since I've met yourself and you described the projects here. And I've really wanted to be able to come and experience the culture here. Especially as some of the staff from Umoya Trust, working for Connected Care and the projects in the UK, come from here. And they've told me stories about here, and actually being here has helped me understand the culture a lot more and understand who they are and what they stand for.
So how has been your trip?
It's been very good. I've enjoyed it very much. I've managed to visit all the tourist spots, the big falls, the big five, go on a riverboat cruise. But also, I've been able to give something back. I've been able to offer some training to a local centre where they were lacking in some sort of skills that they needed, and I was be able to fill that need for them. Also, to be able to see some of the outreach projects as well, which was really heartwarming to me, to be able to help a woman who was going through a similar situation that I did 4.5 years ago. She was desperately in need of somebody to talk to, and I was able to provide that. And also the orphanage. I visited the orphanage, which was really it sort of, even though I've been told about them, it actually made it real.
Made it real. Okay. Now, before I talk about the challenges of before, during, after your trip, we would like to draw our audience to understanding some of the things that has been going through. Jeni has already spoken about a woman she spoke to who was going through similar situations. How did it feel for you as an individual to speak to somebody in a similar situation?
It was very emotional. We cried together, we prayed together. It was cathartic. I was able to open up to her in a way that I don't open up to other people, because she was going through, I saw in her me.
You saw yourself.
Yeah, she was suffering the same way I was 4.5 years ago, where I was in desperate need of help, in desperate need of support. And she's at that point, and I was able to help her understand she wasn't the only one, she wasn't a failure. And with God's help, she will get through this situation. Because I've got through that situation, I've come through it. And I feel a better person because of my experience. I'm a stronger person now.
As our audience can hear that Jeni is a stronger person now.
Yeah.
Jeni defined herself as an ordinary.
Yeah, ordinary person.
As an ordinary person. It is the ordinary person who could do extraordinary. Because when Jeni came, she met this woman. And I believe the interaction, because I saw it, it made quite a big impact. Not only on Jeni, but particularly for this lady who is under Umoya. We are supporting that lady. And Jeni has been a blessing, very useful to that lady and to all of us. So with that, I would like to draw back to Jeni and discuss some of the things, because imagine taking yourself listening to me, us, this conversation, that would have been a journey for Jeni as an ordinary lady, doing ordinary jobs and all those things she has been doing. At one point she came across Umoya Trust, and one day she was encouraged to go on a trip, and she turned up on this trip. Not only has Jeni been impacted, our lives are not the same here. We'll talk about that in a few moments. But Jeni, when you were now finally told that you are or encouraged to be on the trip, what were your challenges? What were your fears?
My fears were, I hadn't been on a plane for 14 years.
For 14 years.
I hadn't had a holiday for 14 years.
Having not a holiday for 14 years.
It was the longest plane ride I've ever been on. It was a challenge because it was scary. But
I was scared.
Very scary, but unless you face your fears, you'll never know. You can live your life wrapped in cotton wool and not do anything. But my ethos is face the fear and do it anyway.
Face the fear and do it anyway. She says, unless you face your fears. So how would one who is watching us there can face their fears?
Look at their day-to-day challenges. If there's something that really, really is frightening you or is a challenge to you, look at ways that you can solve that problem. Don't shy away from it. Don't fear it. The scary things in life generally can be solved by thinking things through and just rationalising things and facing them.
Then what was going on in your mind? Because on this trip you met the two of you, you and Sidney, took a trip. How was it to convince your family that you are going to praise God nowhere?
Okay, it was a mixed response. At first, my husband didn't want me to come because obviously he has to go into care for those 2 weeks. And I think part of it was jealousy because he wasn't coming with me. My general family were very sceptical. They have different ideas about what people should do on holiday.
Yeah.
My closest family, they decide that they want to go on holiday and sit on a beach with a nice alcoholic drink in their hand and all-you-can-eat buffets and things. They can't understand the reason why I would like to volunteer on my holidays. I have given up trying to rationalise this. They won't understand it because to them it's completely alien.
Yeah.
I've just said to them, look, I am different to you. People are different. People want to do different things. And what I choose to do with my holidays is completely up to me. And I don't particularly want to go on holiday with you and sit by the beach drinking alcoholic drinks, which I don't like. So it was a bit of a mixed reaction. But my eldest sister was completely supportive. She thought that it was an excellent opportunity to come and experience the culture and volunteer and do what I felt I needed to do.
Yeah.
But she is a different person. She's more like me. She's a very spiritual person and understands the ethos of giving.
The ethos of giving. Okay, so those were challenges, just to step up to the unknown and getting to the plane. For several years, she has not been on the plane, and also the plane, the flight, the first trip, part of the trip was taking 7 hours, another 7 hours, 14 hours in total, so it was quite tiring, and it was quite a challenge itself. So what are some of your challenges during your visit? Now you are in Zambia.
The culture is wonderful, I love the people, but the challenges are, obviously the food is very different and the cooking methods are completely different. You have to understand that people are, they have different diets and things, and the Western way of eating is completely different to the African. Also, the culture says that the women cook and the men don't, but I haven't experienced that so much here because of where we are. Understanding the money, that's been a challenge. But generally, I think it's been a very good. I haven't had that many issues, to be quite honest. But then I'm a very easygoing person, and I can usually cope with most issues that arise.
So what has been the highlights of your trip?
Highlights of my trip, okay. Apart from the obvious tourists, I think I gained a lot from visiting the family with the young girl with learning difficulties. That, to me, is my standout moment of the trip.
Okay.
Because that little girl wouldn't leave me alone. She was sat on my lap, we were singing, we were clapping, and she obviously needs a lot more support than she's getting. A lot more. In the UK, she would get all the support she would need. She'd be in a special school, encouraging her to do what she needs to be. But at the moment, she's living in a rundown house. She's not able to go to school because her mother needs to work. Her mother's reliant on the eldest son to look after the two disabled children while she's out working. It's a really difficult situation, but that girl's got so much potential. But unfortunately, because of where she is in the world, she won't get it. But that's the standout moment for me. And being able to talk to her mother.
Being able to talk to her mother.
And be able to support her, because she really did seem to come out of our conversation with a smile.
That was true. That is very true. And what have you learned on this trip so far? Because now you'll be going this evening.
Yes.
What have you learned so far?
I've learnt a lot. I've learnt how to do more public speaking by the training that I've done. I've learnt that I'm a very good listener and I can speak to people, and being able to talk to some people in the same situation and help them. I think I'm going to take away from this trip that you can make a difference.
You can make a difference.
Even me, an ordinary housewife from the UK, can make a difference. You don't have to be an important person to make a difference.
So that's quite important for us, for all of us listening. Anybody can make a difference. You don't need to be important. For us, we have learned a lot from Jeni, having been on the trip. We have learned a lot to see. We have laughed her to see how she could struggle when there is no water here. Okay. We could see her struggling. She's walking, no one is talking around the compound. So we have come far, and we have the trip to Livingstone was also quite useful. And she also able to see what we talk about when we are in the UK. Now, what are the things you can take home from here in terms of what you have learned and how you can help somebody?
I can now take away from this that not be afraid to speak up and help people when they are in need. There's always been that barrier. Sometimes you will get a barrier between somebody if they're going through difficult times. They put up the barriers, and sometimes you just walk away. Now I think I can just sit there and say, look, okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And if there's something, sometimes, as my mum used to say, a trouble shared is a trouble halved.
Yeah, yeah.
And she always used to sit and talk to people all the time, and I think I'm going to be more like her. That's brought that to my mind, that she was always there for the people, and I think that I will be like that, more like her. If there's somebody in need, then I will sit and talk to them.
You know, you hear what Jeni is saying, and there is something that touched us personally, on a personal level. It really touched me, and I would like to talk to Jeni herself to see what was going in her mind. Jeni's flight was supposed to be on Friday night. And Jeni, all of a sudden, regardless of the expense and the cost, she decided to change it. Jeni, why did you change the trip?
I changed it because, for two reasons. I really wanted to spend a few more days around experiencing the culture. Also, I wanted to produce this video. It seemed important to me to be able to get the message of Umoya Trust out there, and the good that the Trust does, and to be able to showcase what the Trust does. Obviously, it's not a professional video. It's not we don't spend money on things that we can do for free, because we'd rather put the money somewhere where it's going to help somebody have a bag of flour. So I'd rather do this, so it's no expense to the Trust. I will do this video, and it was important for me to finish it.
So it was important for you to finish it, and you were willing to spend that amount to change the frame.
Yeah.
Okay, we have had a good time with Jeni here in Zambia, Lusaka, and Livingstone, where our projects are based. We also would like to find out when Jeni is planning, if at all she's thinking of coming. Let her tell us.
I'll come back in a heartbeat, I really would. If I've got the time and resources to do so, then I'll be back to do some more work.
So she may want to come back for more work. As most of you may know, Jeni is one of our trustees now and volunteer, and she does some work for us. What would you say for others who are thinking of volunteering, particularly in Africa in general, and then Umoya specific?
More specific. I, as part of Moya Trust, have experienced the volunteer sector back in the UK when people come across to volunteer in the UK, which they find it very rewarding. They like to enjoy the English culture and work with us in the UK. If they're coming to here from the UK, that would, or anywhere else, the culture here is wonderful. The people are wonderful. You will enjoy it. You will enjoy it. It's a wonderful experience. You'll get to meet some wonderful people and work alongside some great people that you can gain experience. I believe everybody you meet, you learn something from
them.
You always do, and I think it's an experience that you will never forget.
Experience to never forget. So you can hear that it's an experience we all will never forget, and we are encouraging you, like Jeni, to join Moya Trust and come along and experience. We may say it, but things you experience are totally different from something said. Jeni, what did you think about the Victoria Falls?
They were stunning, absolutely stunning. You see them on TV, you see them on videos, but to actually stand there and watch them, it's spiritual. It really is. It's like God has made this wonderful thing in you, and you're standing in that presence of that wondrous thing. It's really. You can't really describe it.
You can't describe. They are natural wonders of God and things heritage that God has created, and it was amazing to see Jeni soaked. She was covered. She was covered as if it's a rainfall. It was no longer a Victoria Falls, it was a monsoon rain falling on us. How about the river cruise, and what were your highlights? The reason we are telling you this is that Jeni did not just work all day, she was also on holiday.
Yeah, the river cruise was great. First of all, we stopped off with a wonderful meal on the riverside. Sidney had his Zambian bream with the head.
I enjoyed my please.
And we had a wonderful meal, and then we went onto the boat. All the drinks were free, the food was free, and we went all around the river, and we saw we did see hippos.
Yeah, we saw hippos. Yeah.
Yeah, and we saw some wildlife on the banks of the river. And we saw the most beautiful sunset.
Yeah, the sunset.
The most beautiful sunset you'd ever see.
What about the big five where we saw the lions? What happened?
We saw the lions there, yes. Saw some very cute cubs rolling around like kittens. And we saw the white lion, which wasn't really white.
Yeah, it wasn't white. It's a mixed breed.
Yeah, they were very, very beautiful animals. Very beautiful animals.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you say? Because there is something that you have spoken to us. While you are talking to me, it touched me, particularly the highlight of that lady with 2 disabled children, with a son who should be at university, done very well, but can't go to university because he has become the father to the siblings.
Yeah.
And 2 of his siblings are both disabled, and the mother, to feed those children, she has to go to work. And she has gone through things. She felt she's a failure. But Jeni spoke with her, and both of them were, it's like helping, sisters helping each other. And it was a major highlight to Jeni. The reason why I draw that to our attention and your reflection, because it's something you are taking home with.
Yes.
While we were talking, I just felt encouraged to say, look, you talked about accommodation for those families.
Yes.
Moya supports them. We feed them every month. We pay for food and the rest of the things for that family. We know what we are doing, again, is a drop in the ocean, but that ocean will like that drop, as Mother Teresa told us. While Jeni was talking here, Jeni, if You had millions of dollars and pounds, name them. What would you do for that family? Just tell the audience now.
Well, I would make sure that that girl had an education. I would make sure that the son had an education, even if it meant that he travelled to another country to get it, if that was what was required. I would make sure that they had suitable living conditions, and the disabled son had a proper wheelchair, and the house was properly suited for his needs. They would have a proper house. They would have a proper wheelchair for him. They would have ramps. They would have everything that they needed. As I said, the potential for that young girl is wonderful. The potential for the eldest son, he could be a doctor.
It could be.
He is so bright, but because he needs to be there for his siblings, he's not able to do it, which is heartbreaking, because that's such a waste of an education.
So you are hearing us there. Now while she was talking, the question may be, how does Umoya do what they do, and how do they come to all these things? Jen and I have been in the UK. We ran a project called Connect and Care. So with that in mind, we have connected with this family. And the resources is the reason why we can't do more. Okay? So our vision now for this family, we are looking at education, wheelchair, accommodation, and school. Food Umoya is already providing on a monthly basis. So, Jen, you and I have a challenge which we need to appeal now to the audience. Okay?
Yeah.
Our challenge is we are going to call it Umoya Trust Connect and Care Jeni Project. Project Jeni.
Project Jeni.
Why do we call it Project Jeni? Earlier on I talked about the Hall of Fame. Okay? When Jen achieves a project together with all of us, okay, we are going to write her name and everything she has done on the Hall of Fame outside, called Project Jen. Project Jen, can you appeal to your project, to the audience? We need to sort this.
What we need is funding for this family. What we need is some help for them. Help to get the eldest son to a proper university to be able to study. Help for his mother so that she can still go out to work. Help to renovate her house so it's suitable for living. Help with a wheelchair for her son so he can properly access what he needs to. Make sure the yard is nice and level so that he can actually access the garden. At the moment it's full of rocks and rubble. And be able to, for the young girl who has special needs, to be able to go to school and to have the equipment that she needs.
You hear that? So you may be asking, look, okay, how do we support the Jeni project? Project Jeni, okay? How do we raise the funds for that? What could be the budget, okay? What could be the budget? I'll start by telling you the budget for education, to educate that young man. A yearly should not be more than £1,000. Okay? £1,000 will send a young man who could be a potential doctor to look after many people in this part of the world or elsewhere, wherever he chooses. £1,000 will cause him to go to school every year. So for 3, 4, 5 years, we need £5,000. It will cover for his education. Wheelchair for the young man, £250, one-off payment. We have a wheelchair in the UK. We are planning to ship it. It's an electrical, but at this age you can't use it. So we just want a simple, good wheelchair. Why are we saying this? We may be talking theories, but for those of you who want to know further, and you may want to see photos, which we don't put on the website, but privately we can share, with obviously their consent, okay? So we'll look into that. Now, accommodation, £5,000 will cover one off. Okay? A very good accommodation for the how many members of the family? 4. The mother needs to have her own bedroom, the young girl her own bedroom, and the 2 boys can have their own bedroom. A 3-bedroom house in Livingstone would be able to help. She also said she wants to do a chicken run outside. I don't know whether you saw it. She has built a chicken run so that she can raise an income, also to sustain her own family. So we are also appealing there. For the young girl, they are, like Jenny said, if it was in the UK, that young girl would have been thriving. She could sing a song. The person who can't talk clearly was singing a song, say, "I'll put you in front of my melody. You are all that matters." She was talking about God being the only one that matters, and yet she can't speak. But through sounds, she is able to sing and record songs. That was amazing. It was quite changing. 300 will be able to do that. So Jeni project may cost 1,000. Total, that is 6,550. That is for a year. That's the only amount we need now to change a life and produce a Jeni project. What are your last words now? To Umoya, to Zambia. Since you are leaving tonight, we are sad to see you go.
Well, thank you for the experience. It's been life-changing. It really has. And I will stay in contact with the family. And I've offered to keep in touch and provide support where I can.
Where you can. So we also once again thank you, the audience, for listening to us. We are appealing to you to come along, like Jeni. You don't need to be special or anybody else or impossible. We can work together, facilitate few things. We are glad in this place we are doing an interview. Jeni has seen some of the clients that will be coming in a few weeks from now. When you come to visit us, you will find those clients here. Once again, we want to say thank you. Jeni, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Send our greetings to UK and greet your husband. Okay, bye for now.